introduction is going to be with CRG West and the data centers and carrier hotels that we produce. For this presentation, I'm going to focus primarily on California and specifically on the One Wilshire building in Los Angeles, since that's probably our most well-known building and definitely the most important building that we have in our inventory. And then we'll talk a little bit about the business that we do and a little bit about our vision. The One Wilshire building itself was born out of the deregulation in the 1980s when Sprint and MCI specifically emerged and needed to interconnect with PacBell and interconnected, to their own facilities and to each other. And PacBell in Los Angeles, being the good company it was, refused to allow them access to their property. So the One Wilshire building that was close to PacBell's building in Bunker Hill in Los Angeles, One Wilshire said, "Hey, go ahead and put your microwave antennas up on top of our building and feel free to interconnect here," and thus a meet me room was born. We have now, as CRG West, in addition to the One Wilshire building, we have 10 buildings around the United States. Our policy is also carrier neutral. We do some interconnection work between facilities and geographic proximity that I'll discuss in a few minutes, but we have no prejudice to or against any carrier that's present within the building. We also operate an internet exchange point within the One Wilshire building in all of our facilities. It has, as of yesterday, about 135 networks connected to it in California. Our most two recent ones that are actually kind of fun for me, one was Guam Telecom and one was RETM from Russia. So the Los Angeles facility has actually got some interesting participants on it. Again, Wilshire itself is probably the most important building that we operate, definitely the most important building we operate. After the CLECs and the emerging carriers in the United States found that to be a non-threatening place to interconnect, about the same time the submarine systems were starting to deregulate and carriers in Asia and the United States were able to start getting end-to-end capacity on submarine cables. They were able to start, or the emergence of privately owned cables happened about late 1980s, mid-1990s. And the One Wilshire building itself, since it already had quite a large number of American carriers interconnecting within the fourth floor meet me room, also became a very attractive place for the Asian carriers to extend their point of presence into North America or to the United States and interconnect with the American carriers in the United States. That goes back to the 1990s and the late 1980s. It's even becoming more important now as satellites are not dominant anymore in international communications and submarine cable systems have such high capacity. Facilities like One Wilshire are now more than simply an interconnection point for the submarine systems and the North American systems. They're also a secondary or tertiary disaster recovery point. So when cables break in the Med or cables break due to submarine or earthquakes, submarine earthquakes in Asia, when really bad things happen under the water, facilities such as One Wilshire's meet me room and our other counterparts' meet me rooms not only become a primary interconnection point, but now we're a very big part of the global infrastructure communications for disaster recovery as well. Wilshire itself, pretty much full, 650,000 square feet in the building. 30 floors, 25 are dedicated to telecommunications, and 5 floors to a legal company that eventually will annoy enough to get them to move out as well.
They have that connectivity though, don't they?
Well, I've initiated a core drilling only between 9 in the morning and noon policy at One Wilshire now, so eventually they won't be able to take depositions and they'll just leave, and then we'll replace them with perfectly good switches and computers. But that's not actually as funny as it sounds, because for normal leased space, a real estate company will get $4 in a good Class A building, $4.50 per square foot in rent. Computers give us well north of $30 to $40 a square foot, so we really like computers and the human beings. Well, there's plenty of office space elsewhere in LA. The Wilshire Annex is a property that used to be a postal service center. You kind of see the shadow of it in the background there. An additional 450,000 square feet. As Josh was saying, the biggest challenge we have is keeping concrete available to our market. So we purchased the Wilshire Annex property connected it with dark fiber, and that's now part of the virtual meet me room infrastructure of the One Wilshire building in LA. I can't emphasize, in particularly Southern California, the influence that the entertainment industry has on both the data center business, the internet business, and the carrier hotel business. The effect of Hollywood, Burbank, West LA, the number of cross connects we put in, some exchanges in Europe, pat themselves in the back talking about we're doing 350 or 400 gigabits of transit IP traffic. I would be willing to bet between 60 Hudson, the Map of the Americas, and One Wilshire, we're doing somewhere in the uber bits. I don't even know how to calculate how much internet traffic we might be sending through our meeting rooms. I don't believe there's a metric for it. And it's really entertainment and CDN data that's driving that. If I look at the mix of tenants that we still have a large number of carriers. We thought over the years that number of carriers would actually start decreasing as the large CDNs, the large gaming networks, VoIP, the convergence of IP to the TDM business, but that's not the case. We're actually increasing our number of carriers all the time. Particularly in our case, the European carriers are now putting their tertiary points into Los Angeles, and Russian carriers are starting to have a point of presence in Los Angeles. In the event that something bad happens to the cable systems in the Atlantic, they are now able to go around the world through the Pacific, and Wilshire is one of those points that they have placed that point of presence. In addition to the entertainment industry, everybody from France Telecom to the BBC to pretty much every European entertainment distribution company now also has an interconnect point in Southern California, so they can share their content and media with the distributors in the United States, in Asia, as well as mix their media with Hollywood. All of us have talked about interconnecting facilities with dark fiber. Here's an example of our Wilshire Annex building being interconnected with the One Wilshire building. The intent there is to create an environment where everything at Wilshire Annex looks like it's simply an extension of the fiber within the One Wilshire building. So if somebody needs an interconnect or a cross-connect between a tenant within the Annex building and they need to connect with any tenant within the One Wilshire building, it's just part of our normal provisioning system now. It really makes no difference whatsoever what property it's in. And this virtual system exists throughout California. So if you're at the Wilshire Annex building and need to connect to Market Post Tower, it is just a provision cross-connect. Some people may say we compete with carriers, but most of the connections that we do, the carriers would probably consider noise, and it's not an issue with them. So we do this type of system in Los Angeles, we do it in Northern California, we do it between our Reston, Virginia site and 1275 K Street. And even given the idea of how much expansion is occurring in certain markets, I was talking to Josh earlier, we actually have in our Miami site, since the Map of the Americas, or NODA, is the predominant site in the southeastern part of the United States and the southern hemisphere. Our Miami site actually has dense wave equipment connecting to Josh's site, and then our cross connects are facilitated through the Map of the Americas. So there's a surprising amount of cooperation even between what may appear to be competitors. Future direction, particularly when we talk about the entertainment industry and the idea that foreign carriers need to have a presence in a city like Los Angeles. Utility computing, cloud computing, grid, whatever flavor it exists in is going to be a big part of all of our lives. In the data center business, it's going to require us to continue looking at great ways to design better power systems, better cooling systems. I kind of like this design here. Being from the real estate side, my company CRG West means the Carlisle Realty Group West, so we're a subsidiary of the Carlisle Group. When I go to bed at the end of the day, I go to bed wondering how I'm going to build better concrete, air conditioning, electricity, and to facilitate interconnections between our customers. That's what we do, concrete, air conditioning, electricity, and cross connects. We try to build an environment where our tenants, whether they're CDNs, VoIP companies, carriers, we really don't care who they are. we want that ecosystem that we saw in the different slides here to have an environment where they can exist, where they can emerge, where they can adapt themselves and modify themselves to existing or new marketing conditions or new market conditions or new ideas or new technologies. So at the end of the day, the carrier hotel and the data center, our primary responsibility is to facilitate those interconnections and make sure that the environment is there to support our markets. And hopefully we're doing that.